Show you guys Martha Speaks. I watched the show growing up. You probably maybe didn't, but just so you get a gist of the show. This is a whole ass episode. We're not going to watch all this. Basically, the gist of Martha Speaks is she's a dog and she drank alphabet soup or something like that, and the letters made her able to talk. But she's a talking dog. In summary, she's a talking dog, and she's so good at talking that she actually teaches children how to talk. So she's a linguistic genius. Merry Christmas. You know, this one will be good for the kids. Come on, hurry up, Martha said, wagging her tail. If you are so eager, we could have just fucked at my house, TD explained. Martha paused before crossing the street, looking at the boy and asking, Eager? It means you really want... I'm sorry, I can't. It means you really want my big cock in your cunt. My parents aren't at home. We could already be doing it by now. Oh, kind of like impatient, Martha nodded. I am eager, but I've got a surprise that I think you'll like. Okay. They crossed the street together. There wasn't much traffic on a Saturday, but they still took care to look both ways before crossing. Martha knew that her house wasn't empty. Helen and Skits were waiting, and they knew all about Martha's secret relationship. She'd accidentally left the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Come on inside, Martha said, letting TD open the front door. All right, but this still feels dangerous. What if your family gets back early? I wouldn't want Helen to see what we've been doing. Martha cocked her head. Why not? She wouldn't understand. Dogs and people aren't supposed to be doing what we're doing, he explained. We aren't? Why not? Martha asked, tail drooping. TD saw her worry and quickly said, Don't be concerned. I still want to. But all the websites I went to talk about keeping this all a secret. Helen wouldn't get it, and she might tell on us. I wouldn't concern yourself about that. Why shouldn't I worry? Sure, she let Skit lick her once before, but sex is way down. Martha just laughed and walked down the hallway. The house certainly seemed empty to TD. He followed behind, surprised when Martha stopped in front of Helen's room. You want to do it in here? Open the door, and you'll see why. TD shrugged and turned the knob. Pushing the door in, he looked, but what he saw didn't make sense. So he looked again, both times. He saw the same thing. Helen was sitting on the edge of the bed, completely naked. Her big, brown dog Skits with head buried between her smooth legs. TD dropped his jaw. Helen, you were supposed to wait, Martha whined. I'm sorry. Gasping for breath, the young girl said, I couldn't. I was too eager. She smiled shyly up at TD. Martha told me about the two of you. Martha, you told your sister about having sex with the dog. How could you, Martha? The yellow mutt whimpered. It just slipped out. Helen laughed. She didn't keep my secret either. TD stared at the naked girl, barely able to see between her legs. He glanced up to her flat... Okay, well, this is entering a realm that I don't want to enter, so we're going to leave. We're going to leave that realm. We're going to leave that realm, because even a man such as I, a professed non-kink shamer, you guys know that. Even I'm going to have to draw the line there, because that's entering a realm that could very well bite me in the ass if I ever become like a famous, like, a clay potist. Like, I make pottery for millions of people, and they find out, well, this man read a lowly fanfiction on the internet, and all of a sudden my pottery sales go down from to, and I fucking crash, and then I kill myself. I throw myself off a bridge because my dream of being a potist is over. It's done for, all because I read a lowly fanfiction on the internet. So I'm not going to enter that world. So I hope you understand. I hope you get that. Why aren't I this happy? Look at this. This looks like pure joy. This looks like true joy incarnate. This looks like happier than I've ever been. Also, where the fuck did you get your airplane license? How the fuck did you... Yep, you know what this is. We're gonna do B-movie now. She wants the bee. It's a good title. Barry, are you sure? Vanessa gasped. She and Barry had been together for a year. She loved him, he loved her. They had everything they ever wanted, and that was each other. But Leia, who the fuck is Leia? But Leia wanted more. What was this more that she could possibly need? Well, this particular thing that she wanted was driving her crazy. She wanted it. No, she needed it. She needed a good hard fucking. She needed to be fucked so hard that she couldn't walk for days. She needed near pelvis crushing thrusting between her legs. She yearned for something, anything, that would bring her the pleasure she desired. Barry observed her troubled expression, knowing exactly what she was thinking, what she wanted of him. Vanessa, I am very sure. I know you've wanted this for a long time. I don't want to see you suffer like this. Barry pulled on the slick rubber suit Vanessa had made for him for this special occasion. Once suited up, he dived into the pile of lubricant beside him, making sure to cover his whole body. But Barry, what if you don't make it out alive? She was having second thoughts. As much as she wanted this, she didn't want to risk losing her bee partner. Vanessa, I love you, and that is why I am willing to do this. He positioned himself around her crotch, waiting for her thighs to grant him access. Vanessa reluctantly spread her legs wide, leaning back on her arms, which supported her weight. Barry was in awe at the sight in front of him, the sight of a human female anatomy. That's a really fucking sexy way of putting it. He spent a good minute observing the beauty laid before him, taking in all that he could see in this majestic beast he believed to be called the vagina. You're correct, Barry. Vanessa blushed hard. Please stop staring at it. You're making me feel self-conscious. Just hurry up and fuck me. Barry readied himself before shooting off into the pink monster. He was greeted to a moist cavern. He wriggled around, trying with all his might to bring his lover pleasure. From outside this juicy little fun hole, Vanessa focused her entire being on the sensations inside of her, feeling her body heat up. There, Vanessa realized a loud moan. He found it. He found the spot. Even Barry, deep inside her, could hear it. He continued to press against that particular spot that caused her to make those erotic sounds. He liked it. He liked the sound that he brought upon her. Vanessa moaned at this very moment now. She was close. She had a problem. She needed it faster, harder. Barry was incapable of doing so. Unaware of her anguish, Barry continued his steady fidgeting. Feeling quite accomplished in his work, he decided to go for a bolder move. He dug in deeper, moving through her uterus. He turned on his night vision goggles, waiting to see inside the beautiful vagina. It is an understatement to say that he was shocked. A state of sheer horror would be the best way to describe Barry's current self. And what moved him to such a state, it could be the developing human inside his beloved. He didn't feel his movements anymore. She was scared. Scared that her vagina had consumed her beloved. She was unaware of the drama occurring inside of her. Drama. Unaware she was pregnant. Betrayed. Betrayed by his lover. She was pregnant with a human child. Inside a suit of rubber, the sound of his sobs could not escape. She cheated on him. She, the one who was supposed to love him until the day he died and beyond. At that moment, Barry, the bee, had lost all he lived for. How could he trust her again? He can't just pretend this never happened. That slut. That dirty whore. Punishment. Barry knew what he had to do. He removed the suit, his body becoming covered in his lover's fluids. He moved closer to the fetus, glaring. He whipped out his bee-cock and rubbed it against the skin of the developing human. He began grinding against its speed, increasing with every thrust. His bee-cock nagged for release, pushing the bee to his limits. He released against the child of betrayal, pulverizing his bee-cock in the process. He moved over to the heart, pressing his stinger against it, killing both himself and the fetus. Vanessa couldn't handle it anymore. She reached inside herself, feeling for her lover in the rubber suit. She pulled out an empty suit. Gasping, she returned to feeling around inside herself. It hurt, but she didn't care. All she needed was to retrieve Barry. She grasped something, ripping it out with the force of 1,000 nuns. What the fuck does that even mean? She stared at what she pulled from inside her. She saw Barry. He was dead. It wasn't it. It was a fetus. Barry was attached to the fetus. Her lover and her unborn child were dead. Their bodies in front of her, she picked up the fetus, inserting it back inside of her. I can at least try to save you. Back in you go, baby. That's really dark. She sobbed. She picked up Barry. How could she try to save him? There was a loud noise from... Sorry, just the regret of my entire life kicked in at this exact very moment. And I could continue reading this, but I just saw this scrolling by right here. And that enough is going to encourage me to immediately cease doing this.